Hey guys! Today's video is about the evolution of my note-taking style. I'll be showing you all of my notes starting from February of 2016 until the present. February of 2016 was during my second semester of 8th grade, and that was when I started taking what you might call pretty notes, since I had joined Study Blur in January the same year, and in February I started imitating those note-taking styles and taking pictures and posting them on the internet. Most of these I don't have anymore, which is why I'm showing pictures instead of the actual notes. If you'd be interested in looking at my biology notes and algebra 2 notes, which are currently what are being shown, I'll link those videos in the cards. The main change in my note-taking style has been, first of all, the development of my calligraphy. I started learning how to do it in December of 2015, and you can really see the improvement from the beginning of this video until the end. Also, my note-taking style has gotten much simpler. I'm currently a sophomore in high school, and I started doing these back in 8th grade. And as an 8th grader and a freshman, I had some extra free time that I could use to make my notes really extra, but now I really do not. Also, I find that extra things don't really make them any more effective since they're just a vessel to contain information. Just keeping my notes neat, legible, and fairly organized is good enough for providing the benefits of pretty notes, which are to motivate me to study using them. Now that the explanation of this video is pretty much over, I'll be answering some questions about note-taking, which I got from the community tab on my YouTube page. So the first question, which showed up quite a lot, is how do you choose the most important information to note down from lectures or textbooks? This really depends on the context of your class and the subject material. For example, for AP Euro, the most important information would be cause and effect and the relationships between historical events, not necessarily the exact details of the date and who was involved. On the other hand, for math, the most important thing would be writing down the examples and the steps that were taken and an explanation of why certain steps were taken. This will all really require you practicing and getting a feel for what's tested in your class and what you need to know. The next question is, when taking textbook notes, should I read through the entire section before taking notes? I don't think doing a detailed, close reading of the entire section is necessary before taking notes. Just skimming over the headers, any sidebar vocabulary, key concept summary things would be helpful to get a general idea of the structure of the section. Then do a detailed close reading while you are actually taking notes, not beforehand. The next question is how to take notes while the teacher is giving a lecture. This requires, I'd say, two main skills that you'd have to work on. Number one is writing and listening at the same time, and not accidentally writing the word that you're listening to. And I don't know any secret trick for this, I've just learned to develop it through practice. Also, it helps to be able to paraphrase, summarize, abbreviate, all of those things to shorten the amount of words that you need to write, and be able to do that quickly. Being able to write very quickly but still legibly is also pretty handy, but I write quite slowly, so I personally just work on summarizing and making things more concise instead of practicing writing quickly. The next question is what stationery is required to take notes? This really depends on individual people and their preferences for how they take notes and summarize information and emphasize what's important. My personal essentials would be a black pen to write everything down and a highlighter to emphasize the section titles or any super important information. I only really need one color since I personally don't color code, except I like to color code for AP classes. I'll use a different special color to highlight the things that correspond to the key concept, course framework. And of course, I need paper. I don't have a strong preference between loose leaf and notebooks because they both have their pros and cons. Currently, I mostly use loose leaf just because it's more portable and easier to carry around in the organizational system that I have, which is an expanding file folder. Something I'd like to have, but is not an absolute essential, is a black brush pen because with my note-taking style, I personally like to do the calligraphy header on the top with a black brush pen. Honestly, if you wanted to strip it down to the absolute bare minimum, you need paper of any sort in the binding that you prefer, and one writing utensil, whether that be a pencil or pen. The next question is bullet points or mind maps. I pretty much never use mind maps, since most of my notes are from lectures, and with lectures you can't preview things beforehand and know what the structure will be, so it's really not possible to do a mind map. Also, even when I take notes at home, I just am not really drawn to mind maps as my own personal learning style doesn't really mesh with them. I like for things to be in a somewhat chronological order. I know that doesn't really make sense for every subject, but that's just the way I personally like to process information, so I definitely prefer bullet point. The next question is, how do you organize your notes? I take most of my notes on loose leaf paper, which I put in my expanding file folder, and that's how I take things from home to school and vice versa. Once the unit is over, or just at a stopping point where I feel that I don't need to reference those notes at school, as in class or while working on homework, then I'll transfer them to a large binder that's in my room, and I'll keep it just at home and not take it to school with me. And the way this binder is organized is there are tabs for each subject, and then I put the notes in chronological order from when I took the notes. A question that I get all the time is, do I rewrite my notes? And the answer to that is no, I don't. All of the notes that I post on Instagram or Tumblr or that I show in my videos are all either from in class, or I just take notes from the textbook one time and I don't rewrite them. I just don't have time to rewrite my notes, especially not just to make them neater. Rewriting notes can be a helpful study technique for some people, especially if you're reorganizing or synthesizing the information in some way. But I personally find that more active retrieval methods of studying are more effective for me and a better use of my time. And on a similar note, the next question is, how exactly do you study from your notes? So what I do is, my notes are used as a source of information, kind of like a textbook, but a much more concise version. So I'll take that information and make flashcards or practice quizzes or anything like that. I'll have a video about my top 10 studying techniques, which I'll link in the cards right now, and those are the methods that I'll use to study based on the information from my notes. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you'd like to see more about note-taking, I'll link some videos on the screen and in the description. I'll also link my Tumblr and Instagram where I post pictures of my notes, and I upload new videos every Monday and Friday. See you next time!